And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sheepkey Shear podcast. Here we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. I am your host, Austin Creed. Ladies and gentlemen, today's a tough show, so I want to welcome you in, but I want to welcome you in with a little bit of reverence because for those of you who are very involved in conservative media, people have been talking about the Durham report. And while I originally wanted to talk about it a couple days ago, I wanted to stop and I wanted to read the report a little bit. I didn't want to just repeat what everybody else is saying. I didn't want to just say, oh, well, so-and-so said this, and oh, so-and-so said that. No. I'm pre-law in my major, so I want to really read all this, and I want to make it make sense, but I'm not going to bore you with reading 316 pages, alright? I'm not NPR. I'm not trying to put you to sleep while you're listening to the show today. But what I will do is I will touch on certain things that I found and I will let you know why. I'm going to tell you right now on this show that I believe America is autoimmune. I believe America has an autoimmune disease, and that disease is our agencies that are supposed to protect us. They've been weaponized against us, in my opinion, and even what I'm looking at in the literature, they are attacking us to protect the fat cats and people in power. That's it. So if you're interested in what I just said, keep listening, because you're in for a great show today. For those of you who have never listened to the show before, you're coming in on a very interesting topic, but I welcome you, because we're going to jump right in and we're going to attack the issue at hand. I ask a lot of questions throughout the show, and if you have any comments, questions, concerns, hate, love, whatever you want, you can direct it to my Twitter page at Austin Creed over there, and we can have a discussion. We can talk about these things, or you can interact with other people. It's entirely up to you. But my friends, we're going to jump right into this. I believe it's important that you know this because this is your country. This is something that will affect you, and it does affect you right now. May not affect your life directly because you may feel you're immune to all this. You may think that, oh, Austin, this doesn't affect me. I don't have this problem. I'm not a rich fat cat. I don't have these problems. Well, my friends, you're wrong. And I'll show you today why you're mistaken, because we're going to pull up, before I do anything, I want to show you the disease I believe America currently has. Let me share the screen real fast. Boom. Hold on. Boom. There we go. The FBI, the CIA, the deep state, as people like to refer to it, it has been weaponized against us. It was supposed to protect us, and I'm sure in some capacity they still do. Here's the problem. They have become more of an autoimmune disease where they protect the people in power while trying to attack you. You, the voter. You, the everyday individual in this country. You are being targeted by these people, and this is what I'm talking about. I believe that our intelligence agencies, which I will reveal to you through the Durham report, I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. I believe that the body, the immune system, which is what our intelligence agencies are supposed to be for our country, they are attacking healthy brain cells, which is the intellectuals, the people on the other side of the aisle. Because I will show you a poll later that shows that the Democrats trust the FBI more than Republicans do. The left likes these institutions as long as they're the ones running it. When this disease, which I'm referring to as the autoimmune disease, because I don't want to lose the forest for the trees here. I don't want you to get lost in the medical jargon. I want to make my point crystal clear. Again, this is not meant to scare you. This is not meant to tell you to go get canned matzah, canned wheat, canned whatever, and hunker down and prepare for the end times. Not what I'm talking about today. I'm not doom and gloom. Not the point of today's show. Today's show is meant to show you why people don't trust institutions. You've heard that a lot recently, right? The crazy conservatives, they don't trust the institutions. Institutional trust is at an all-time low. Well, we're telling you why. Why people believe that today. We're going to talk about it. So, I want to read this to you. So, when the body's immune system, aka our cops, our military, our strategical assets like the FBI, the CIA, NSA, etc., Homeland Security, you get the gist. When they mistakenly attack healthy brain cells, in other words, intellectuals, that leads to inflammation of the brain. In other words, it leads to the horrible system that we now have where people can't talk to each other about politics. They can't talk to their neighbor. They can't talk to their coworker. They can't talk to their spouse even. They can't talk to their friends. They can't talk to people in a restaurant. They can't talk to people because if they do, they think they're going to get ostracized, fired, shamed, canceled, you name it. Or maybe they'll get an FBI file open against them with a warrantless investigation, which we'll discuss in a second. Because there's more of those than you think going on, and it's revealed in the Durham report. And in the neurological symptoms, of other words, the brain of the country that's being attacked by the agencies that are supposed to protect it, may cause impaired memory, the change in our history books. Hello? Anybody else see that besides me? The changing, the subtle rewrite of whether it's happening right now, whether it happened 100 years ago, it's all being changed. The filter through which you're seeing it is being changed very subtly, very slightly, to the point where you barely even notice it's happening. And before you know it, you're like, wait a minute. That's how it happened? What? That's what I'm talking about. It could be something that happened yesterday or something that happened 100 years ago. Just look what they did. Just look at what the revisionist historians have done to African American slavery in this country and how they make it seem like it was just the white cracker racist who stole Africans from Africa and then put them in chains and shipped them over to their plantations. Not true. Not true. In fact, you know what? I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I'm going to tie this in because I think it's important. And for those of you who don't like it, check me. Go ahead. Fact check me with your government line, you rat bums in the media. I know who you are. Go ahead. Fact check me. I don't give a damn. Let's get into it. The King of Spain profited greatly from slavery. The Arab kings and princes profited greatly from slavery. Certain Caucasian families profited greatly from slavery, and yet me, an immigrant whose father's side came from Ireland and whose mother's side is Jewish and Native American and etc., and German, has the nerve to tell me that I owe African Americans something. I don't owe you a damn thing. Neither does anybody else, by the way. That's why it's called reparations. It's called raping a nation. You don't think that's a play on words? It's art imitating life, again. But we're going to hop in. I'm getting off track here. I'm tying this in. This is just an example of the revision, the memory loss, the memory impairment that I'm talking about. I'm tying this in today. Because you're led to believe that everybody who's Caucasian in this country should say, oh, I'm so sorry for slavery. Oh, I'm so bad about... Your ancestors probably weren't even in the country. And how do you know that their ancestors were even in the country? Again, we're getting off track, but it's just the subtle manipulation of your memories, the manipulation of history that leads you to think that the brain cells are being attacked. The brain cells are supposed to be our institutions of education. And yet education is being twisted to where it's indoctrination. I did a show on that yesterday. Now let's keep going. Like I said, neurological symptoms of when the immune system is compromised and it's attacking these healthy brain cells. And impaired memory, we just talked about that. Abnormal movements, the weird movements we're seeing in this country, where people will found an entire movement off of notions that were fake, like hands up, don't shoot Michael Brown. People still think some of that actually happened when it was a complete fraud by the media, who then realized they were wrong and then didn't take back what they said because they realized, oh, we have to admit we're wrong. We can't do that. Look this stuff up. I don't make it up. And I don't have time to look up every single thing and present every single form of evidence. Look it up for yourself. I don't just shoot my mouth off. I know what I'm talking about. Problems with balance. Oh, you mean to tell me we have a problem with balance in this country? Of course we do. We've gone so far to the left, and the right has gone so far to the center towards the left, I barely recognize it anymore. Problems with speech. Anybody else notice a speech intimidation in this country, where if you don't push the line that the media says, that the government says, that's one and the same pretty much in my opinion? You ever notice that there's a speech problem in this country where if you don't agree with what the government says, the media says, what your neighbor says, what some influencer dummy on TikTok says, then you're a bad person? That you should just not exist anymore? That you should just be canceled and you shouldn't be allowed in the public space? Yeah. Again, you see how I'm drawing these parallels here? I don't just make this up. I don't just bring this up for ratings. I know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm saying America has an autoimmune problem. America has an autoimmune disease because every institution that's supposed to protect us is now holding us captive. Is now promoting and pushing the line that is supposed to keep us like cattle in a pen. They're shearing you. They're using the sheepdogs to shear you. The wolves aren't even getting their hands dirty anymore. The sheepdogs are supposed to keep the wolves out are now keeping you in. Let's go to this poll that I mentioned earlier. Trust in the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI. Half of Americans trust the FBI either most of the time, 40%, or about always, 10%. And then look at this. The other half says 30% only some of the time trusts the FBI, and 20% hardly ever. 50% say they do, 50% say they don't. Now, to make things even more sad, this is significantly higher than most Americans how much they trust in the federal government more generally. Just 1/4 of Americans trust the government in Washington to do the right thing just about always or most of the time. My friends, look at it gets worse. Trust in the FBI is significantly higher amongst Democrats than either Republicans or political independents. Here's the graph for those of you who are watching on YouTube. Here's the graph. I can read it. I'll read it to y'all. Let's see. It says only 4% of Republicans indicate that they just about always trust the FBI to do what is right, compared to 17% of Democrats. So over 4 times the amount of Democrats trust the FBI than Republicans. Only 7% of Democrats indicate that they hardly ever trust the FBI to do the right thing, whereas compared to 30% of independents and 32% of Republicans. My friends, do you want to know why I believe this to be extremely vital to this conversation? It's because if you do not have if you picture the entire United States as a body, with the arms, legs, organs, head, whatever you want, if you do not have a body that is working in unison while having difference of opinion, look, the ship needs to move forward. Whether it goes left or goes right does not matter. It needs to be moving. But we've gotten to almost a point of gridlock in this country where one side is attacking the other side instead of uniting amongst their similarities and bickering with their differences, but realizing that we have external threats who would neutralize both sides and just take the system over entirely. We pretend we live in a vacuum where the rest of the world loves us, doesn't care about us, and we have the luxury of only caring about what's going on in the body of America. No, we're tearing each other to shreds while the people in power run rickshot over you, the people who they're supposed to serve. All the while, you end up with stuff in the Durham report, which is 316 pages long. And I will not read every single part to you, but I will sum up. There was over 278,000 warrantless investigations done by the FBI over this Russia hoax that turned out to be nothing more than a hoax to not just protect Hillary. I know some of you probably remember what then director of the FBI, James Comey, said, where he said, yes, she used the server, yes, it was illegal, but we're not going to prosecute. You might think, oh, wow, how can he say that? That's disgusting and horrible. Well, you're not wrong for saying that. But he wasn't the only person who said that, and not only that, he wasn't the first. You know who said it first? Oh, wait. Who do you think was the first person to say that? Where do you think he got his speech from? Where do you think he got these ideas from that he could get away with this? Who was he protecting? It wasn't Hillary. It wasn't Bill. It was Barack Obama. Former President Barack Obama. Because she was using her email server to send personal emails to the President of the United States, not using the State Department email. I've been in the military. I know how it works. It will tell you, hey, you are sending this to someone outside. You are sending this to someone who only should receive certain emails from certain servers. You have to override or approve it to send it using a personal Gmail, Yahoo, whatever. If it's not government, it needs to be filtered through to the government, which is exactly what Hillary did to Obama, who knew better, which is why she used an alias. But guess what? Do you hear the media talking about this? No. Do you hear anybody on The View talking about this? No. Do you hear anybody in the government talking about this? No. Why? Because it makes them look bad, and it makes them realize that they need to be held accountable. And then when the moment you see this and you realize it, they are weaponizing the institutions that's supposed to protect you to investigate you. They tried to sabotage Donald Trump and you, the people who supported him. And if YouTube wants to cancel me for saying this, look at the damn Durham report. It's all there. I don't make this up. It's public record. I looked it up on Google. Department of Justice, it's all there. The whole thing was a hoax, a false notion to investigate him, to try to end his presidency from ever happening, and to sabotage him every step of the way. End of story. That's why he calls it a witch hunt. Yes, is he prone to exaggeration? Yes. Is what he's saying very close to the truth, if not the complete truth? Yes, in my opinion, based on what I'm reading in the Durham report, which I'm showing you at the very last page because I'm not going to go through every single page because it's exhausting. My friends, I'm telling you this. If you think you're safe in trusting the government, if you think you're safe in trusting these institutions that are supposed to protect you, I wish fervently that I could tell you that you're right and that you can do that without, any repercussions, but you can't. My solution is you must think for yourself, you must be vigilant, and you must not accept what people tell you. You don't even have to accept what I tell you. Look it up for yourself if you think I'm making it up or I'm lying. Because the so-called fact checkers, in my opinion, are complete gangster frauds who are just going to sit there and tell you what they want you to think, what the government wants you to think, what the people in power want you to think, so that then you'll think that it's a fact because they said it's a fact, instead of actually showing why it's a fact, and they use inside information. It's a circular hamster wheel of information. So-and-so said it's the truth. Why? Because so-and-so said it was the truth. There's not objective reality they're basing it on, for the most part, if ever, in my opinion, and you can fact check that if you want. Just look at what they did to DeSantis when he announced for his presidency the other day. They tried to fact check him and they tried to show he was lying when in fact he told the truth. They just tried to twist it just like they did with the Trump town hall. Instead of saying he was right, they said what he said was misleading. In other words, he was right, but they didn't like how he phrased it or what he said. So instead of admitting he was right, they just said what he said was misleading. But they made damn sure to tell you when he was wrong. They didn't miss a beat on that. My friends, I'm not a lockstep Trump supporter. The problem is that Trump is a lightning rod for these communists, these low-life bums who wanted to try to tell you to go to hell because you are speaking in droves for this man. 40% like Trump. 40% of the primary said they'd vote for Trump, which means the rest of the Republican candidates are fighting for the 60% that's left. And shout out to Tim Scott, who's throwing his hat in the ring. I personally think he'd be a great pick for Trump to be vice president. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not trying to get too far down the political rabbit hole today because it's not the main topic. The main topic is what we're talking about today with America has an autoimmune disease. It's being attacked from within. We are being undermined. The people who are supposed to protect us are protecting the people in power from you, from criticism, from accountability. And it's enough, and I'm sick of it. So what can you do? You need to inform yourselves to these abuses of power that are going on behind the scenes that you're not aware of. You need to stop paying attention to the bread and the circus, the entertainment, the sports, and whatnot. Take a break from that every once in a while and look at what your government is doing to you. Because only a vigilant people can hold back a visceral government. My friends, you need to be cynical and you need to be skeptical of what the government says, and don't just trust everything that's told to you by anybody, and that includes me. I want you to hold me accountable too. I do a lot of research. I don't just shoot my mouth off after I turn on the camera and the microphone. But my friends, I want you to hold everybody accountable, because we live in very, very alarming times. And the longer you stay in the dark, the more the shadows will slowly fade from your view, and you will barely see the shadows, much less the light and the character casting the shadow. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, whatever, you can find me on Twitter at Austin Creed or at Ozzy Creed, and direct them over there on Twitter. Until next time, my friends, God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless this beautiful United States of America. We are out of here. Peace.